Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go. Here you go.
So, you all knew I was going to do it. I wanted to do something totally different. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that without laughing. I can do it. It's Friday. It's Friday. 4869. Dee 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 dee. Toe. That's the Nothing Personal body part of the day. It is Friday, September 6th, 2024. And I think before we start the show, we have to take one moment to try to help Matthew Coca. He's given up. Season's over. Ravens lose by 7 to the Chiefs. Every penalty goes against the Ravens. Lamar can't do the easy stuff, only can do the hard stuff. They're done. It is a rare person that can watch the first half of week 1 of the football season or have their team lose the first game of the football season and pack it in. No mas. So I want to use all of our energy this morning to try to get Coca to believe. Just believe, Ted. I wonder whether I would have had the guts to tell a player in baseball to wear shoes that were too big for him in order to have a better chance to get to the base faster on a feet first slide, or whether I'd have the gumption to tell a football player, hey, I know your toesies are going to hurt. We'll take care of them. Don't worry. It's the least of the issues you'll have when your career's done. The alphabet will be the most of your issues. New hips, new knees. But the crinkled toes, let's wear shoes that are 3 sizes too small, because then you have a better chance of staying in bounds. Season started last night. Ominous sign, 20 minutes late. Thunder, lightning, clear the stadium. God, did I not like being in charge during home games. Just worried about everything back in the pre-roof days. So the game kicks off and everyone's excited about the new kickoff rules. Touchback. I think there were 11 kickoffs last night. 9 of them were touchbacks. 2 of them were returns, and none of the returns made it back to the 30. The NFL is trying to trick you, which of course they always do. That's what the NFL does. It's sort of like a cult, I think. I'm trying to picture Roger Goodell in a robe with Dixie cups of NFL-infused Kool-Aid telling you that these new kickoff rules, this is what we're supposed to do. It's going to look weird, but don't worry. We're going to get exciting returns with no traumatic brain injuries. It's going to be great. Meanwhile, if there's a touchback, you get to the 30. If you return it and you can't make it to the 30, I would think that analytic individuals would say, excuse me, let's go ahead and not return any kickoffs. Well, that's exciting. The season starts. It's a kickoff and boom, touchback. It'll end up more exciting than that, I hope. Let's talk about the NFL season. There are some good storylines that we're going to watch the entire year. You're being told that the top storyline is the Chiefs. It is, make no mistake, I've decided that the minute I saw Taylor Swift walking into Arrowhead in her jeans outfit, it occurred to me that what I thought was an oversaturation last season, I had it wrong. The NFL is leaning so hard into Kelsey and Swift, ignoring the fact that Kelsey is a bit of an afterthought in the Chiefs offense now. He said, if I'm going to be an afterthought, then forget it. I'm not going to allow that. I'm not sure that a tight end has a way to be relevant if plays aren't called his direction and his quarterback doesn't throw his direction. I think he caught like 3 passes. Sorry to those of you who may have had under 5 in the reception part of your parlay. So the NFL is clearly leaning in. What's over 5, Coca? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, over 5, of course, is what I mean. He went under. I think everyone got that, even on a Friday. So why does the NFL want the Chiefs to succeed? For all of you conspiracy theorists who believe that the penalties were not called fairly, that the NFL does not want the Ravens to win, they want the Chiefs, they want the Chiefs. I've got a surprise for you. I'm sorry to tell you. You are 100% right. It is in the best interest of the Chiefs to make it back to the Super Bowl, to show up in New Orleans, having Taylor Swift on Bourbon Street. It's too good to be true. Having an opportunity for the Chiefs to three-peat. It's too good to be true for Pat Riley. Having them relevant as long as Kelsey and Swift are together. Did you see, on a total side note, it's a Friday and my brain will go wherever I want it to go because it's Friday. Did you see the leaked document on TikTok? Now, of course, maybe I shouldn't be talking about it because maybe it's not true and there's no way for me to judge whether it's true. I guess I could speak to Coca or Sarah, but I didn't. A document about the PR strategy when Kelsey and Swift break up. I think they all denied it, but there was a date like September 28th. In 22 days, there's going to be a breakup and they've got their talking points. They've got everything else. The reason why I know that's not true is there is some sort of deal for sure. I'm trying to picture how I would do this deal. I would call up the Kelsey's agent and say, listen, I don't really care if he hates her, but no breaking up until after the season. You can do it during the off season. You can. We have too much at stake. Too many good things are happening. I think that's the number one storyline. It's not even the Chiefs going for the three-peat. I think it actually is Kelsey and Swift staying together and the importance of that to the NFL. And for those of you who don't realize how much money leagues spend on demographic study, on trying to get underserved demographics to interact with your game, trying to show sponsors, hey, look at us. We can appeal to the following 10 demographics. The benefit of the NFL, forget Amazon needing the Kelseys to continue to be listened to by Swifties who couldn't give a flying rat's pituitary gland about what Jason and Travis have to say in order to justify their contract with Amazon Wondery. Their podcast In the Heights getting about 100 mil. Please have no illusion how this happened. Travis ought to be giving Taylor a commission. The NFL ought to be paying Taylor for what she's providing to them. It is incredibly powerful and measurable. They can tell you the number of women's merchandise, the amount of women who are watching, engaging in the NFL who were not engaging before. And it's not a coincidence. And the cost of having Kelsey date Swift, maybe that'll come out one day, whether or not there's any sort of bonus incentives. The other story that, of course, the NFL is going to have you focus on is the team that is the key to anybody with a microphone talking about, because everyone loves to love or loves to hate the Dallas Cowboys. That is the key when you are looking for subject matter to talk about, is you want anything but apathy. The Yankees provide that. The Cowboys provide that. The storyline that we have to follow is what's going to happen with Dak and McCarthy. Is it Dak's last year? Is it McCarthy's last year? What does McCarthy have to do? You've seen a bunch of articles come out that are interesting to me. Yesterday, I read that Stephen Jones, Jerry's son, is more involved with the Cowboys than he ever has been. He's always been involved, but he's more involved now. The beginning of the transfer of power from Jerry to Stephen. I will bet you $1, Mortimer, that Stephen Jones will not be the GM of the Cowboys when Jerry Jones either passes away or gives up control of the Cowboys. That's for sure. Stephen Jones may want to spend less than Jerry Jones. People are saying he's not interested in football, doesn't care about wins and losses, cares about winning money instead. It's funny when I've spoken to a bunch of sons of owners, happen to have been one. There is no question that the passion of the parent does not flow to the child. It is extremely rare. And I think I figured out why. Because there's way more pressure on Stephen Jones than there was on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones created value in the Cowboys, taking the team from where he bought it, in the hundreds of millions to now over 10 billion. Getting AT&T Stadium built, taking the business of the Cowboys to a level never before seen in a sports team in the world. Yes, in the world, not just in the country. When you inherit that, you are far more focused on maintenance than growth. And the thing is that when you're focused on maintenance, you're operating out of fear. And then you are definitely subject to contraction. Growth focus, when you're building a business, requires the amount of concentration, the amount of innovation that enables you to either binary succeed or fail. But sometimes you get more conservative. Have you ever seen, this happens actually in Vegas, that the people who gamble the most per bet are the people with less money than the richest people who come in and they bet, but their average bet tends to be lower. People, as they get older, when they've got more money, tend to gamble less, both in their business, in their personal life, than people who are in their 30s and 40s and in the prime of their careers. People tend to get more conservative as they get older. But then when you inherit an asset, you tend to take that asset. And some people say, oh, we're going to do things that our dad never allowed us to do. Other people say, I'm too scared. What the Cowboys will do with Dak is interesting to me because Jerry Jones has handled this in a way that would give you every indication he has no interest in signing him. He's told you he wants to see how they play. We talked about that in Nothing Personal. Wants to see how Dak plays, how the Cowboys play. Basically letting it be known that McCarthy has to perform in the postseason. He's been a regular season winner with the Cowboys, but not a postseason winner. I'm fascinated to see what happens there. I think the last storyline that I will focus on has to be Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. It is shocking to me. Well, no, it's actually, why would I say that? Politically, Aaron Rodgers makes it so people care what he has to say. I have never been able to understand why your skill at one thing enables you to somehow have the ability to talk about other things. You can talk about them much like I can talk about myriad subjects, and you can choose which parts you want to tune out, which parts you want to tune in, whether or not it gives you something to think about. I've always enjoyed when Hollywood stars use their platforms to talk about environment or to talk about economics or to talk about elections or to make you think that somehow without doing the work, they've got the ability. That's the difference. I'll do the work. I'll do the research to give you both sides of an issue. Aaron Rodgers may tell you he does the work. I'd like to see. I picture Aaron Rodgers reading books the way Wesley Snipes and Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger read books in Major League. It was the comic book of Moby Dick. That's what I picture with Aaron Rodgers. But the Jets do have expectations. For some reason, they are minus 175 to make the playoffs. Their over-under is 10.5 wins. I am sort of interested in that because to win the Super Bowl, they're only the ninth best at plus 1,900. Do you not see a scenario where the Jets are barely better than the Giants? But the reason why it's a storyline to watch is that the NFL is addicted to Aaron Rodgers, despite their protestations of things that he may say or do. They are addicted to what he provides because think about it. You take the Swifties, you take the Rodgerites, and you've got yourself the entire spectrum of America. And that is way more important to Goodell than any sort of, and I'm not being taped by O'Keefe Media Group, but you don't think that having those two sides of the horseshoe are way more important than focusing yourself on diversity? I think it is. What about quarterbacks? What would you do? Are Dolphins fans, you guys excited? Everyone excited out there? You got Tua, the it factor, going out there with the Dolphins. Coach McDaniel, he's got his feet wet, his hair permed. He's ready to roll. Dolphins are ready to erase the nightmare of the past 2 decades and show that Stephen Ross knows what he's doing. Packers are start tonight in Brazil. We're going to talk a little bit more about Brazil later in the show, but Packers start with Jordan Love. They paid him. Who would you take right now? Add up. Does DraftKings do this, Coca? Can you take 2 teams and add up their wins and versus 2 other teams, and whoever gets more is how you win a bet? Would you take the Packers plus the Dolphins to equal more than the Bears plus the Texans? How would that work? CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams against Jordan Love and Tua. What interests me, of course, is that the former 2, no money, the latter 2, an outrageous amount of money. And the question is, what do you do when you're running a team? You know you've got to win when your quarterback's young. That's your only choice. Very hard to win if your quarterback's not Mahomes, but very hard to win with a very expensive quarterback. Hard to surround him with enough people. It's like baseball. It's like every sport, lest you think that NFL is that different. You want to win when your players are pre-arbitration or in the early stages of arbitration. It's very hard to have a team full of overpaid free agents. It's hard to get that to win when you're paying for past performance. So the NFL is going to start. Let's do some predictions. Let's do it. I wonder whether you figured out any of my predictions so far. First of all, wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. Let's do a wait to see right now, Coca. I had a wait to see way back, and I don't know if you remember this. It was on September 5th of 2024. So forever ago. And I told you that the Commanders were going to have no choice but to fire their VP of content. As a reminder, that's the guy who went on the date, was recorded. Go listen to the start of yesterday's show. And I told you that the Commanders were having a statement that said he's suspended. I said they're going to need another statement. I don't know why they started with that. Well, it didn't take them a day. I wonder how that investigation went. He was suspended pending investigation, and then they fired him within 24 hours. They didn't hire Samson Coca at all. We would have taken at least a week because we're paid by the day. We would have taken at least a week to investigate. We would have tried to find out how many dates they'd been on, what else was said during the date, whether or not he could see the camera, whether or not he really thought that Goodell was a puppet and that Jones was a racist who was running the league. Hey, I'm just curious. Do you really think that? Well, the Commanders, I wonder if the investigator who was investigating this was the same one who investigated Dan Snyder and only gave an oral report. Nothing's written. It's just oral. Here's our oral report. Dan Snyder, bad guy. Make him sell. Here's our next report. VP content. That's code word for I can't remember his name right now. Otherwise, I would have said his name. Santine? That reminds me of Satine from Moulin Rouge, so I don't think it's that. That's Nicole Kidman's character, Satine. Entine, yes. I was going to say Osteen. Is he in jail yet? I didn't get a follow-up. I've not had a follow-up on Joel Osteen yet. I don't want to yuck on the yum of him paying the amount of money he paid to do a service at our stadium, but I am just curious. Have you been caught? Anyway, we got that wait to see right, if you can remember it. All right, let me give you 4 predictions. Coca's going to exit the show right now because he's angry with my predictions, because he knows the preseason predictions can never be true, and he wants so badly to watch the Pompano Beach legacy Lamar Jackson hoist the Lombardi Trophy in a ceremony that will make Roger Goodell cringe, I suspect. That's what I'm here for. I want to see that. I want to see Lamar Jackson get the trophy just to see what that would be like. As a matter of fact, I'll start at the end. Coca, you can leave now. Don't leave, please. Don't leave. Please. The Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. That's my prediction. The Ravens will beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. What do you think of that? I will do and have done a mea culpa on Dan Campbell. I have a pending wait to see that Dan Campbell will not survive his contract. And he has turned around the Lions franchise along with the GM. I guess Clay Ford has allowed them to do their business. The Lions are an interesting team. They took a huge step forward last year. I'm feeling like it's an NBA style thing where you go up in increments. I've got the Ravens over the Lions in the Super Bowl in New Orleans because I am there for the Lamar Jackson and Dan Campbell press conferences from New Orleans, and I am there for the trophy presentation to Lamar. Can't wait. Other predictions. All right, Jets fans, Stugotz, I'm very sorry. All the people at the Levitard show, I know that it's all about Dolphins, Heat, Panthers, Marlins, Highlight, Inter Miami, Miami, we love you, local hour. Guess what? The Jets and Dolphins are going to both miss the playoffs. People are counting out the Bills right now. I wonder why. Is that because Josh Allen lost a few offensive weapons? There's so much pressure on the Jets and Saleh to win if Rodgers stays healthy. There's so much pressure on the Dolphins. And Tyreek Hill telling you it's the best Dolphins team he's ever seen. We used to love when players would do that. Is there any way you're willing to just meet the media and say how excited you are for the season? The amount of anticipation you have for the season? Come on, will you do it? Jets and Dolphins missed the playoffs. 4th prediction, obvious from the first prediction, the Chiefs will not become the first team to three-peat. So if I get 1, well, that doesn't mean I get 4. I can get 1 and not get 4. Those are my 4 wait to sees. They're official wait to sees. I started them as predictions, but they're actually wait to sees. So let's book them as wait to sees. Chiefs don't become the first team to three-peat. The Jets and Dolphins miss the playoffs. That's wait to see 2. The Ravens and Lions make the Super Bowl. That's wait to see 3. And the Ravens win the Super Bowl. That's wait to see 4. We didn't have to wait long for the nothing personal pick of the day. It was an early game between the Diamondbacks and the Giants. Blake Snell pitches 1 inning for the Giants. 42 pitches, gives up 2 runs. I'm feeling so good. Everything's coming up roses because I love my Chiefs pick later at night, them giving 3 to the Ravens. But I got the Diamondbacks as a dog. Diamondbacks are hot. Diamondbacks lost. Chiefs win. That's a 1-1 night. We're 116 and 121. I got a bunch of picks for you this weekend. Get out your pens. Get them out. Let's talk about a couple games. Let's talk about a couple things going on in baseball. Let's start with the fact there is a real race going on with the Mets and the Braves right now. They have played 140 games, and yet there is no difference in their record. They are both 76 and 64. The Braves have gotten there with injuries. The Mets have gotten there with a tough start, playing very well as of late. One of those teams will not make the playoffs if the Padres and Diamondbacks continue to lead the wild card. Diamondbacks are a half game back of the Padres. They are 1-2 in the wild card race. It's more fun when there's higher stakes. I love the Mets-Braves race because one of those teams loses. Now, of course, they could both catch one of the Padres and Diamondbacks who could falter here in the last 3 weeks of the season. 100% that's possible. But let's assume for purposes of this conversation that it's one of the Mets or Braves. That means there's going to be a really good team that had World Series expectations that's home in October. And of course, that happens every single year. But when it's your team, you're like, oh my God, it never happens. It's terrible. I'm going to watch so much. I'm going to a concert tonight. Anyone out there like Bruce Hornsby? I do. That's just the way it is. I like him. I want to watch the U.S. Open, though, and I want to watch the Packers play. So how am I going to do that? Is it past the time where you can pause things and ignore Twitter and then watch it when you get home? I've never been able to do that. In my day, back in my day, I used to have to VCR things, but I would cheat. I'd call 976-1313. I'd find out the winner and then watch the game. Or if the team didn't lose, I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to watch the game, which defeats the whole purpose of taping it and not knowing the result. I'd like to watch the Tigers play the A's tonight. The Tigers play the A's. I love watching good pitching. There's something about it. If you can, watch a little bit of Skubal. He's the favorite to win the Cy Young. He's like minus 5,000. He is unhittable. Just fun to watch. The Tigers have actually been better this year now that Cabrera's retired. I hate to even say that, but it's true right now. Hate to say that A.J. Hinch has done a good job, but he has. The front office. The Tigers are playing the A's, who have also not had a terribly disappointing season, given their payroll, given who they are. But we are taking the Tigers over the A's. They're a pretty heavy favorite, but watch him. Skubal is hard to hit. Also, tonight, we've got the football game in Brazil. Jonathan Jones tweeted something yesterday. I've known Jonathan. We both have done work and do work at CBS. Jonathan Jones is brilliant. He sent out a tweet yesterday. He's an insider. This was a good one. He said in Brazil, there's a problem with the team hotels. The Packers may have to commute 1.5 to 2 hours because of traffic in Sao Paulo. I want to follow up on this Brazil situation. We're going to take the Packers +2 against the Eagles. I have no idea why the Packers are not favored in this game. I truly have no idea. Notwithstanding how bad they were in the exhibition game in Denver, which, of course, wasn't any of their players playing. I can't believe the players' union allowed for a team to stay 1.5 to 2 hours away from the stadium. I can't believe it is true the Eagles are at home, so the Eagles got to stay at a hotel closer because they're the home team. It's as though they're suffering because they're giving up a home game, but any home revenue is being made up by the NFL. It's not like the Eagles are, hey, man, I'm losing a couple mil here. They get paid to go to Brazil. The expenses are paid to go to Brazil, the charter flight expenses. MLB used to do incremental reimbursement. Sorry, Coca, we're going to get distracted in the middle of our pick of the day by something that I just thought of that I've never told all of you. When we would play international games, let's pretend that the Marlins were the road team playing in New York. And instead, they moved that series to Puerto Rico. And we would tell baseball, all right, the cost of our flight from Miami to Puerto Rico is $50,000. Let's just say. And we would say to MLB, give us that $50,000. And they would say, hold on a minute. What is the cost of your flight to New York that you would have to pay for on your own? And then what is the cost of your flight to Puerto Rico? We'll pay you the difference if flying to Puerto Rico is more expensive than flying to New York. That's what I mean by saying they would only pay the incremental expense of the international games. Now, of course, let's say you're the Packers. Instead of flying to Philadelphia, they have to fly to Sao Paulo. And so the NFL would say, whatever you're paying to fly to Philadelphia, let us know. We'll pay the difference only. You still got to pay that. The Eagles are saying, hey, man, we were at home. We're losing every bit of revenue. And then when you miss a home game, you charge the corporate sponsor incremental amount. This is a good one. When you charge the NFL or MLB the money, let's say you have 81 home games and you miss 3 home games because of a series played internationally. You take all your corporate sponsorship deals, you divide them by 81, and then you times it by 3 to say this is what our lost revenue is from these lost home games. And it's total horse hockey. It's not illegal, but the theory is this, that if you went to your corporate partner and said, listen, we appreciate the deal that you cut with us for $250,000 behind the plate for a little sign in the top of the 4th inning. But I got bad news for you. There's only 78 games at home, not 81. Oh my God, give me a refund right now. I want 381st back right now. Credit me to next year. No problem. We're going to get the money from MLB. Do you think MLB went to the corporate sponsors to try to prove, hey, just out of curiosity, anybody cut their payments to you? Of course, nobody cuts their payments. It's funny. Sunday picks. Cowboys are playing the Browns. I think it's safe to say that I may go against the Browns 17 straight times. Just trying. You know I don't root for the Browns. You know that I want Deshaun Watson to either not play or to play badly. I want that contract, and it's not that I have anything personal against Haslam. I do think I have something personally against Watson, though I've never met him, so I'm going to have to really examine whether I do. The Cowboys will start their season with a win. We are taking the Cowboys plus 2.5 versus the Browns. And then we're taking the Pittsburgh Pirates on Sunday. Why in the hell are we taking the Pittsburgh Pirates? Here's why. It's Corbin Day. We will not give up, Jimmy V. We will never give up. We will go against Patrick Corbin every single start for the rest of time. And there's probably 4 more, 3 more, 4 more maybe. Pirates over Corbin on Sunday. All right, we come back. We're going to talk about what's going on between Disney and DirecTV. There have been some updates since we last covered this. And I am going to do something that is the nicest thing I could ever do for anyone. It is the most selfless thing you can do. I'm about to save you time. How nice is that? We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, September 6th, 2024. If you're watching this on DraftKings Network, it's about 10:33. If you're watching this on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, where you're supposed to please hit subscribe. I was given an offer today, Coca, before the show started, not by you, obviously, where I could buy subscribers on YouTube. I got that given to me. Someone said that you can find people in various countries who will subscribe to your YouTube page, and then you'll look so cool for having so many subscribers. Screw that. I want the real listeners to subscribe. So if you're listening to this or watching this, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to tell your friends how much fun we have 5 days a week for 50 minutes. 250 minutes of your life you give me every week. That's 2.5 hours. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm about to make it all pay off. Sat down yesterday to watch a movie, which I do every day. $19.99. So I took a lighter that I've used from time to time when I don't mind things smelling, and I took out a $20 bill, and I kept it right next to the couch where I was sitting. I spent $19.99 to watch Borderlands because A, I like Kevin Hart. I admit it. B, I love Kate Blanchett. I admit that too. Borderlands is a new movie based on a video game. For some reason, it's about some weird futuristic world or planet called Pandora. How come every planet has to be called Pandora? It doesn't look like a box. And then there's a girl they've got to save. Then there's a bad guy, and you don't know who's real, who's not real. There's fight scenes. There's guns that never have to be reloaded. It's some sort of video game that I've never played. I finished watching the movie. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes. It took me 191 minutes to watch. Yes, I was keeping track. 3 hours and 11 minutes. Why? I got up. I was on my phone. I had some food. I went to the bathroom. I should have gone running. I couldn't sit still. Not like the whole restless leg syndrome that afflicts me about 5 out of 7 nights. Not that. I'm more talking about I couldn't stand to watch another minute. I sort of covered my head, covered my eyes. And then when the movie was done, I took the lighter. I took the $20 bill and I rolled it up and then lit it on fire. You're welcome. You do not have to ever see that movie. I want an apology from Kate Blanchett for somehow choosing this movie to do. Nah, she probably got paid. No apology necessary. Apologies are interesting to me in the world of sports business. They are very hard to come by. Companies would rather play the blame game than the apology game. There's a blame game going on right now that makes me smile. ESPN and Disney are fighting with DirecTV. Covered it earlier in the week, and I told you I thought by Monday night that the dispute would be over. I'm quite concerned about that wait to see, because there has been an effort this past week since Monday to get consumers to somehow side with one side or the other. Who do you side with in a Disney DirecTV dispute? You upset with DirecTV? Stugatz canceled DirecTV? How dare you, DirecTV, not give ESPN and Disney what they want? No one says no to John Skipper. How dare you, ESPN, demand that DirecTV pay you when you know DirecTV's business model has changed? You know DirecTV is bleeding subscribers hand over foot. You know that having different tiers makes it more difficult, that DirecTV has to provide value for people with DirecTV, or people are going to cut the dish. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come up with new statements every single day. And these statements are going to be totally MFing the other side. And we're going to do it in the framework of, you're not thinking about the consumer. We are. And then, of course, the other side says, you're not thinking about the consumer. We are. Is it possible that both sides have only the consumer in mind? DirecTV's CFO came out with a quote. We're not playing a short-term game. We need something that's going to work for the long-term sustainability of our video customers. That was very nice of him. I like that. Trying to explain why this is not your run-of-the-mill dispute anymore. Carpenter did this on a call with financial analysts from Wall Street, and make no mistake, these companies, when they go through these carriage disputes, this is not about you, the consumer or the customer. This is about you, the stockholder. Now, if they would say that in their statements, I would have great respect for it. We are standing pat. We are not going to give because we think it will have a deleterious impact on our stock price. And we know so many of you own shares of stock. Don't you want our stock price to go up, 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 even if your opportunities to watch things go down, down, down? Do you think Stugatz owns shares in his vast wealth of AT&T or Disney stock? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're not even thinking of it that way. But guess what? Ray Carpenter, the CFO of DirecTV, sure as hell is thinking of it that way. When he's sitting with the financial analysts, do you think that he's trying to convince the financial analysts, hey, trust me, this is about the consumer and the customer? Hell no. He's sitting with the financial analysts of Wall Street firms and saying, just so you know, we're doing this because this is the smart business move. And if we don't do this, why would we ever make a bad deal that would have a negative impact on our earnings per share and therefore on our stock price? We'd never do it. I like that. Of course, Jimmy Pitaro, the chairman of ESPN, has a different view. He said that with DirecTV, there's no vision, no plan has been put in front of us. He went on CNBC to say that. There's been some name calling. That's their tactic. That's their playbook. I guess that is the tactic. Name calling never works. If you find yourself name calling in an argument or swearing in an argument, you've lost. I love doing these arguments against people, these debates against people. Oh, you don't know crap. You tanked the Expos on purpose, you bastard. All right, let's argue. Oh, 10-7. Just kidding, Ariel. I love you, man. By the way, congratulations, Ariel Helwani. Pay attention. Pay attention to what Ariel Helwani has done. Pay very close attention to what he's done. Talk about his success story. Talk about building your business vertically. Talking about how to figure it out. I wonder where that's something other people could do with other shows as their core. I'll have to give that thought over the weekend. So here's the thing with Disney. It's not going to end Monday the way I thought, but I can't take away the wait to see. What I'd like you to look for as we continue to follow this carriage dispute is whether or not over the weekend, as we hit the U.S. Open finals, as we hit the Jets 49ers game, if the dispute lasts through Monday, I don't think anyone's been able to last more than 2 weeks with one of these disputes happening, with the NFL happening. But let's just see if it continues, whether or not there's a different tone in the statements, because how long can they keep telling you it's about the consumer and the customer? How long does that last before your PR people say, listen, do us a favor, ixnay on the Ustomer K, because no one air K's a flying rat's uatary pay land gay? This show has been coming to you. Here's something you did not know. I'm not really here today. This is not live. I don't have a newspaper to show you, but if I did, I would. Today is not September 6th, and it is not 8:43 a.m. Eastern. I am not wearing a red and blue check shirt or a blue blazer that was all lined up on the left side of various places in the closet. The reason I know it's not 8:43 is that I'm AI. This is not my voice. Wait, let's look. I don't think you can see that. It really is 8:43. Did you think there was a chance? Do you think there'll come a time when I could do the show like from a beach, except I could pretend that I'm wearing a blazer and a shirt, that I'm sitting in the glove chair? ESPN came out yesterday and wanted you to know, hey, we're starting to use AI to write game recaps. We're going to give you game recaps for lacrosse. We're going to give you game recaps for women's soccer. Are you guys good with that? And some people were like, are you kidding me? That's it. Human beings are finished. AI is taken over. And then ESPN said, I'm sorry, hold on. There must have been a misunderstanding, Phil Collins. The misunderstanding is that we weren't doing these game recaps. There was no coverage like this. So we're trying to be additive because we care about you, the customer. And we want to give you value when you're going to pay for DTC and all of the plus streaming services. We want to give you up to the second great game recaps. And don't worry. Don't you worry. We're going to have real life human beings checking the AI game recaps, which of course, DTP defeats the purpose. I got to pay someone to read what the AI person does to make sure the AI person does it right. And so that means that the person checking has to really check to see who won the game, who did what in the game to make sure the recap was done correctly. Raise your hand if you agree that the person in charge of that after the first 3 days is going to say, it's good. Boom, post it. ESPN wanted to make sure you knew that the AI generated recaps will augment existing coverage, not replace it. It's a very good point if you think about it. Why wouldn't you want, if you're ESPN or any paper of any kind? This used to happen. People get so freaked out about AI. Did you know papers used to share stories and share bylines? Wait a minute. Is that what the AP is? When there's an entire group of people who actually do things and it gets shared at papers? That's what the Associated Press does. Now, could the AI take over for the Associated Press? It's not going to happen. Don't worry. I think it's outstanding that ESPN and Jimmy Pitaro, that they're thinking this way. If you're not thinking about how to use AI technology to benefit the people who pay you money to do the things you do because they don't want to do it themselves, why can't someone just go on Google, hey, give me the recap of the NWSL game? And then boom, the recap comes. That's true. But isn't it easier to go to ESPN Plus or ESPN.com and go to the app and see the game story about the game you're interested in and press click? Saves you. Unless there's new invention that comes. Maybe that's going to happen. If I think it, it comes into being. That would be amazing, except I have to make sure I'm not around people too often. Because if everything that you think would actually happen in real time, I would say there'd be a lot of embarrassing moments and a bunch of lawsuits. But that said, maybe that's what's next for AI. You don't have to say it or type it or prompt it. You can just think it, and then you'll get the game recap. I love that ESPN's doing this. And if you think they're not doing more of it, then you are 100% incorrect. You better start embracing AI and hoping that there are really smart people, which there are, figuring out ways to properly harness it in order to provide value to you. Because at the end of the day, when you get picked up by an Uber, do you need it to be a person? Do you want to talk to your Uber driver, or do you want to get from point A to point B? Hey, deportation. That's not the word. What's the word, Coke, on Star Trek when you're one place and then you're another? I can't think of the word right now, but it's where you like bewitched. Teleportation. Yes, Coca. 2 minutes to go and you're on the case. You're over my Super Bowl prediction. If you could teleport from one place to the other, are you going to raise your hand and go to Washington, to Capitol Hill, and say, listen, I just want you to know I am so upset about the loss of jobs for people who drive cars and taxis and planes that I think it's outrageous that we found a way to teleport where I can get myself down to Florida with the blink of an eye. It's outrageous. We cannot have that. You better start embracing this progress. It's happening. Don't you want to get your content? If there were a way that you could get information in a more efficient, faster way, or better information, people are upset with Google for the AI generated. When Google looks at the 700,000 responses to what you Google, they come up with the best ones in a matter of a millisecond, and they give you the info. No, I'm not going to trust it. I'm not going to read the first part of my Google search AI generated. I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to call Pablo Torre, see if he can find out the answer to who won Super Bowl 24. Come on. Let's be realistic about how this is actually going to go. And if you've got a company like ESPN who's willing to give you recaps in sports that they haven't done it before, and you don't realize that that's the tiny tip of the AI iceberg, it's like saying, oh, we're done with ChatGPT because students are using it for plagiarism. They're using it to cheat. ChatGPT can't be good for anything. Are you a late adopter to Siri? You upset the fact that, oh, someone's listening. People used to say, my phone's listening. Yeah, because when you want something, don't you want it to be given to you? I'm trying to figure out where to stay on my trip to Puerto Rico when I go with the team. Wow, there's all of a sudden an ad on Instagram for a great hotel in Puerto Rico. That doesn't sound helpful to me. Keep your eye on the ball, folks. This is now. This isn't some sort of thing that we're pondering could be happening. It's all done for efficiency. This is like a dream for me. Maximum efficiency, minimum effort, and outstanding results. I'm striving for that. It's just business. Have yourself a safe, good weekend. Let's be careful out there. We'll be back Monday. This is nothing personal.